Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Yeonni, and on this week's Mental Health Monday, I thought I would share some of my final thoughts on Shane Dawson's Jake Paul series. Pretty much this is the video that got a lot of you guys who are watching to find me and my channel. I wanted to continue commenting on the series, but I thought it'd be better if I just continued watching until the end and kind of made like a last roundup video of my thoughts and my response to the rest of the series. So that's what it is here today. Anyway, if you're interested in hearing what I have to say about Shane Dawson's Jake Paul series and kind of my own overall personal thoughts of this journey that this series has taken me on, please keep watching. The first thing I wanted to talk about is Shane Dawson's response to the backlash. My specific video that got his attention was a therapist's response to part 2 of his series, which was really the bulk of him speaking to Katie Morton, the therapist, and talking about what is a sociopath and kind of aligning the potential of Jake Paul being a sociopath. And after that, the media went haywire, kind of saying this episode was a bit overdramatic unnecessarily, especially when it's on the topic of mental health, and many people were personally offended. And Shane is a creator who seems to be very open to hearing what people have to say, and he definitely was. There was a lot of tweets, a lot of like Instagram stories and Snapchats of him saying there's a lot of backlash and he's gonna try to do something about it. He seemed to be kind of editing live and just kind of changing things up as the responses came in regarding his series. So part 3, which was the part right after all the backlash of part 2, was on the family of Jake Paul, and I'm gonna be honest, it felt a little passive aggressive, especially the part where he's like, in the next part of the video I'm gonna put happy music because, you know, I don't want to be scary in quotes, and that was definitely very passive aggressive, you know, because a lot of people, including myself, were commenting on the music and the imagery used to describe sociopaths in part 2. And ever since all the backlash, he's added a lot more disclaimers on all of his parts, like don't diagnose people with personality disorders even if we talk about it. So I thought that was a positive that he was using more disclaimers, because before there was like 1 or 2 or like maybe some in the description, and he said that he did as much as he thought he should, but he seemed to have learned that more obvious disclaimers would be necessary when talking about such a sensitive topic. And I did notice there was a lot less like scary like iStock photos and like scary like editing clips that were used in part 2. So there was a lot of drama, you know, when it comes to the backlash and how Shane handled it and how the series progressed, because everyone with the YouTube channel wanted to comment on what's happening, you know, because this was the biggest show, the biggest topic, the biggest thing, trendy thing happening on YouTube. I can't imagine the amount of stress that this individual must have been under when, you know, he kept emphasizing leading up to the series that like this is his baby, he's so stressed out with like how things are going, but he's working so hard. And when like the entire internet wants to criticize you and your work, I understand that passive aggressiveness can happen, because I don't find Shane to be an aggressive person, but I did notice, as with a lot of people on the internet, that despite him saying he's very open to constructive criticism and seeing how things work out, there were moments where like he was very passive aggressive towards fans who were tweeting at him, and that made me really think about like these individuals with a huge influence online. They really need to be extra careful with the attention that they bring to their fans. Thankfully, with my video, maybe it was because I was able to express myself in a respectful way, which thankfully Shane saw, so it didn't garner as much negative attention as some other fans did. And I think Twitter is a really scary place. Thank goodness I don't have Twitter, but it's very quick for Shane to kind of retweet someone else or respond to someone's advice, someone's public advice, in like a passive aggressive way, and that sends thousands of his followers to be like kill yourself or like say all these like negative things to these fans who are just trying to give him advice, you know. And granted, yes, there were people who were just jumping on the bandwagon and just criticizing him, but just for the sake of criticizing him. That I don't agree with. I don't think that's okay. This is an individual, this is a person. Even if he puts his face and his life online, no one should be told like, wow, you suck at what you're doing, or like you're a monster, you're awful. Like, that's just not necessary. So I'm just talking more on like his fans and his followers who are just trying to help him with some constructive criticism, and depending on maybe how tired he was that day, because I know this editing thing, he was probably not sleeping that much, depending on what his circumstances were. Sometimes his responses were very mature and respectful, like he was with me, thank you so much. And then sometimes like there are these threads online where like fans were saying that because of his passive aggressive like response to them, his fans were like attacking them and like they had to delete their Twitter. And it's just so unnecessary, because I know none of that comes from the creator Shane Dawson himself, but you know, that kind of mob mentality. And this person has like 10 million plus subscribers on YouTube and so many followers on Twitter. So that was an interesting thing that I saw. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the role of Katie Morton, the therapist in the series. In the video I made previously on this series, I said I really respect her for what she's doing on this platform. I watched a bunch of her videos and I did learn a lot myself, and I think it's great more mental health advocates on this kind of platform. It's fantastic. I'm gonna be honest, with that other video I made, I was really careful with my words, because I don't think I've ever made a video where I was like commenting on a trending topic. But as a therapist, this series was talking about a topic that I was passionate about, like on TanaCon, on Jeffree Star. I watched all of those, but I never felt compelled to make a video, because what am I going to say about them? I'm not like a commentary channel. I talk about mental health here and there. So when the topic of mental health came up, I'm like, oh, I'm interested in this. I could talk about this on my channel, which is why I'm here. I realized watching part 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of Shane's series on Jake Paul, I enjoyed the parts that didn't have Katie Morton in them, and I think it's because, as Shane himself emphasized, this was solely for entertainment purposes, right? This is YouTube. People come here for entertainment. Shane himself said that this was for fun, for entertainment, because he's fascinated by Sociopath, and he's fascinated by Jake Paul and this brand that he is, you know, and like this part of YouTube that is so different. So when Katie Morton would come into the video, she wasn't involved in this series as like a friend of Shane's, you know, she wasn't here as like a part of his crew or anything like that. She was specifically contacted by Shane because she is a professional in the field, which is why she was there. So I realized that there was kind of like that cognitive dissonance in me where it's like, wait, this is entertainment, but why is there a professional like saying really serious things in an entertaining video? Because that's really dangerous, you know. As you can see, she also received a lot of backlash. She made like a response video to the hate that she was getting. It's just really weird for me, because as therapists, as a licensed professional, as someone who has all these extra letters behind their names, I believe the things we say in the public sphere hold a lot more weight, because we studied and we took exams and we got licenses in these specific fields. Like for example, I could tell you all about, like last Friday I made a video on my Pixel 3 XL. I could tell you all about it, but I'm not a professional in it, so you probably won't come to me for any information on like tech things. But when it comes to mental health, when it comes to these topics, you could come to me for information, because I did receive training and I did receive the education to be able to impart knowledge and to ignite, you know, mature conversations on such topics. The parts where Katie was involved, like for example, where is it? I took note of this. At the end of part 5, I believe, where it's the enemies of Jake Paul, where this so I was not comfortable with the whole undercover therapist thing, and I'm gonna pop it up right here, but I actually commented on Shane's video. Oops, that's laundry right there. Anyway, I actually commented on Shane's video like as this part was happening, because I was like I don't feel right about having a therapist undercover and kind of secretly analyzing and diagnosing Jake Paul, even if Shane had those disclaimers like don't ever diagnose people because of my videos, but he had someone in his video that he brought along to do that. And I'm gonna be honest, I deleted that comment when I saw how much support I was getting for that comment, and I have no excuse except I was really scared, because just because of like the other video, my first video I made on the series, and like the really great positive feedback I got from it, like all of you new followers who are here with me, but also like some of like the most awful things that I've ever heard in my life, or have ever had people call me, and I was scared that like people are gonna call me haters, and I know I should have kept the comment up. I should have held firm, like stood my ground, you know, but yeah, I deleted it. But it was clear that a lot of people were agreeing with me that they were not comfortable with Katie Morton there as an undercover therapist. I don't know if Shane said it in his Twitter or it was in like comments, or Something like that. But some of his fans were defending him, saying that Jake knew that this was all going on and it was just for show and for entertainment purposes, so it wouldn't actually happen like that. I believe code of ethics when it comes to much of the mental health profession, probably there's a lot of overlap through it. Was it ethical for Katie Morton to be undercover in this series? No, it's not ethical, because if you're going into any capacity as a therapist, you need to disclose that you are a therapist to the person that you're talking to. So that can all wrap into Shane doesn't know any better. He's not a therapist. He's not in the field. He's an entertainer. He's a YouTuber. He's someone who's genuinely curious, and because of his series, we were able to have a lot more conversations on mental health. So you know what? It's not Shane's fault. My feelings of confusion and disappointment really just unfortunately lies on Katie for agreeing to do this series in the way that it was done. And I don't even know if she knew what she was getting into, because Part 2, when Shane was talking to Katie Morton about sociopaths, he said that she doesn't even know what the series is about. So it's like there's a lot of like going back and forth on the facts. Like, did she know? Did she not know? Was she in too deep to step out? But I feel like as a mental health professional, if I was reached out to by Shane Dawson and I was kind of told a little bit about the series, I wouldn't have felt comfortable kind of having my professional name and face being out on the internet, kind of spreading false narratives about what therapists do. Therapists do not go undercover to secretly diagnose. Like, patients and people have a right to know when they're being evaluated by therapists and mental health clinicians. So unfortunately, I have to be a little more stern in this video about the therapist that was in the video, but I think it would have been a great opportunity for her to educate Shane so that the series could have been a little more sensitive and she could have been portrayed in a better light than how things seemed. And last but not least, what I've learned from this series and this whole experience. First thing that I felt a lot during the entirety of this series, from part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is that YouTubers are people. This Jake Paul character was someone that I didn't really watch. I knew of him and his brother and like the rivalry. I used to watch Alyssa Violet's vlogs here and there, so when I saw that like, oh shoot, like Alyssa Violet got kicked out of her house, and then that led to the rabbit hole of like, what is Team 10? Who is Jake Paul? Who is Logan Paul? And you know, the whole Suicide Forest thing happened. So it's like all this happened, but this series, I think Shane did a great job of kind of trying to show that Jake Paul, a public figure, someone that you can see and comment about and talk about on these public forums, he's also a person. I think it was heartbreaking to kind of get an inside look on how his family life is, the questionable nature of his relationship with his dad, his brother, like whole Alyssa Violet, like Logan Paul thing. That is just, it's heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking, and like it showed that this individual, Jake Paul, is a person. He has his own baggage and things that his family could really work out to better their relationship as a whole, which could maybe, you know, improve each of them. Another thing I learned through this series is that money is important. Clearly, you know, we need to pay our bills and things like that, but I think it's crazy how isolating money can be. We see Jake Paul and these big figures living in these mansions. He has all these like friends or people around him. They're a team, right? But I can't help but think that Jake seems really lonely. Maybe that's why his current girlfriend, Erica Costell, was someone that could be really helpful to him, because she seems to really care about him. I don't, like, you know, like, then again, like, this leads to my next part, which is like, what is truth? You know, nobody knows, because there's their public image, the people that they are being in front of Shane's camera, and they could be a completely different person behind camera. And I know the whole point of this was that Jake and all of these people be as honest as possible, but when they're public figures, they have an image to uphold, they have investors, as we learned from the series. So I mean, that's like a whole nother thing. But anyway, this specific point was that I think family and good friends and like people you love and trust being around you is the most important. Money is important, but it really can't be the end goal, because these kids had everything at their age, right? But they don't really seem that happy to me. And the last thing I learned through this series is that the internet is a fascinating place. People are extremely fascinating. Thanks to this series, I was able to experience something new in my life, being exposed to a lot of people around the world who are able to see my videos and get to know me through this opportunity. So the internet is such a interesting thing. There's so many interesting people with so many different perspectives, and it has been a wonderful learning experience. I am grateful that Shane Dawson made his series on Jake Paul and kind of really was very vulnerable as well throughout the process to hear all the constructive criticism, all the backlash and everything. And he created this masterpiece that got the entire internet talking about him and what he wanted to talk about, which is amazing, right? Whether it's negative or positive, there has never been so much interest and conversation and talk on mental health in like the main front page of YouTube, I think. So I think conversation is always fantastic. It's always a great way to spread mental health awareness and advocacy. Overall, those are my thoughts on Shane Dawson's series on Jake Paul and everything that had to do with it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about any of the things I might have mentioned. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What were some other things that you feel like you've learned from the series or like you felt throughout? Maybe the way you perceive and interpret things is a little bit different. It would be fascinating to talk about it with you guys in the comments down below. So make sure to leave those. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!